You have tuned into the BearDown Corner with your host, Sergeant Julio. Hey everybody, this is the BearDown Corner. I'm your host, Sergeant Julio. Let's get you caught up on the Divisional Round Weekend's playoff matches. So, we had 8 teams, the final 8, 2 in each conference. Starting off, the Denver Broncos took on the Buffalo Bills this weekend. Josh Allen came out just a guns a-swinging, 25 of 39 for 283 yards with 3 touchdowns. But the deciding factor on that, his fucking 4 turnovers the man had. He fumbled the ball 3 times, lost 2 of them, 2 interceptions, was making plays that questionable at times. Now, there were questionable ref calls in this game too, though. As we fought right down to the wire, they tie it, go to overtime, and Denver leads down the field after a Josh Allen stop on 3rd down where they had to punt the ball away. Denver goes down, gets in position, scores the winning field goal. Now, that wasn't without the refs, so causing a bit of a stir on what should have probably been a down by completion rather than an interception on that final drive of the Bills. Now, bad news for the Bills coming out of this. Actually, bad news for both teams. So let's address that right now. The Denver Broncos advanced with the 33-30 overtime win on Saturday, but at a cost. They lost Bo Nix. The man is out with a broken bone in his foot. I didn't really see when this occurred on which play, but you could visibly see his face, and he knew something wasn't right. So Jared Stidham is going to get the start next week in the AFC Championship game, and man, it's just sucks for Denver fans. I'm sorry, Bronco fans. I really thought that you guys were going to do much, much more, and you still could. But your starting quarterback, freak accident. I hate that. I really do hate that. Bo Nix went 26 of 46 for 279 and 3 touchdowns on Saturday. The kid was doing everything right. And then you get stalled and hampered by this. You know what, though? Future's bright for Denver. All right? It's bright as hell for them ever now. So, yeah. And Buffalo. Oh, Buffalo. Let's talk Buffalo. They're now in search for a new head coach. We're going to just break it down like that. Josh McDermott fired today after the weekend's loss. And in the initial reports of what I've come across, they just needed a culture change. They needed to go a different route. The GM Bean, who hasn't got Josh Allen a competent receiver since letting Stephon Diggs go on a trade, they can't. I don't know. I don't know what the hell this team needs to do. They have talent. They have Dalton Kincaid and James Cook. They got Shakir's not a bad receiver. It can't all be on Josh Allen's back, man. It can't, just bad calls and a few extra good plays by Denver. This game could have gone either way. There was lead changes throughout the whole game, back and forth. It's a shame. You have a 9-year head coach who really, they just got flaunted at the wrong moment. We've seen it happen in the past with other teams. Look at Peyton Manning. Took him almost 7 years to get to the championship game. Yeah. Poor Buffalo Bills fans for their head coach, but hey, Denver's at least salivating. 49ers went into Seattle where, let's just be honest, Seattle put a shit stomping all over the 49ers. The 49ers have been injury decimated, but that's no excuse. They opened the game by letting Seattle do a run-back return touchdown by Raheem Shaheed. Kenneth Walker had 3 touchdowns on the day. Other news, your other running back, Zach Charbonnet, we found out he is now undergoing season-ending knee injury, so that'll be a little bit of a kick to the nuts for next week's game. But hey, you still got a solid running back duo in Kenneth Walker and the backups you had over there. So Other than Sam Darnold only completing 13 of 17 passes in this game, they won 41-6, by the way. Defense completely stifled the 49ers. What was it? 2 turnovers. They had their way. They had their way with the Niners on Saturday. And honestly, as it should. This team, this defense is insane. They are going to be the reason if Seattle wins the Super Bowl, they're going to be the reason why. Because offensively, they have stars. They have talent. But that defense is legitimately winning games and making the scores lopsided the way they are. Let's just be honest. When you start on short fields and you start with good positioning and you can have turnovers but still have a fucking 20-point lead, it's crazy. It's just crazy. They shit-stomped the Niners on Saturday. So where do the Niners go from here? Well, you know what? They got to get healthy. And they got some off-season decisions to make and some upgrades to do as well. Maybe some depth is probably their issue. Seahawks fans also reported quarterback Sam Darnold is playing with a oblique injury. Now, if you don't remember earlier in the season, Daniel Jones was doing the same thing. So I hope they can keep as many pass rushes off this guy if they intend to win and go on to the Super Bowl. Houston went into New England, where the Texans brought in a stifling defense of their own, and they didn't disappoint. They held as best they could against the New England team that just ended up outdoing them in the turnover category. They took 5 takeaways on Sunday from Houston. 4 of them were interceptions on C.J. Stroud. New England showed up. Drake May went 16 of 27, 3 touchdowns, and he had a couple turnovers, but any quarterback is going to get turnovers against that Houston defense. They were playing lights out. They were the reason they made it as far as they did. So, outside of that, you know what? Defensive touchdown even on those turnovers New England had. They move on to the AFC title game, where they will face the Denver Broncos to see who's going to go to the Super Bowl. And the heavy favorites are probably going to be the Patriots at this point because of the Bo Nix injury. But don't count the Broncos out. They got some running back help coming back. They opened up J.K. Dobbins' practice window here this week. They could be getting him back, so they're going to have to lean heavy on the run game and play some hella defense on the weekend. Now, the final game. The game that we were watching last night. The game that took my breath away at multiple times. Made me believe that we were going to be in it to the very end. And hell, were we ever. Los Angeles Rams traveled into Chicago. Snowy, blizzard, cold, nasty weather for a California team. And the game didn't let up. That defense showed up. They played very well against the Bears. Turned over 3 interceptions on Caleb Williams. We also held our own defensively in holding Matthew Stafford to 0 passing touchdowns. They still ran the ball in, but it was a back and forth contest. We were down 10-17 with like 17 seconds left, and Caleb Williams with an amazing play, by the way. Backdrops a few times trying to make guys miss. Back corner end zone, Cole Kmet touchdown. We tie it, we go to overtime. We stopped LA on the first drive. Chicago's moving it. We get the 4th down conversion. They're inching their way for the field goal. The only issue I have with this game and the decision making of Caleb Williams was his pass to DJ Moore. And to any of the haters out there saying DJ Moore should have done more, there was nothing he could have done. The safety had the 2-step ahead of him on the fucking run route. It should never have even been thrown that way. He had 35 yards on the left side he could have gone to. So don't give me this, oh, that was a bad play on the wide receiver. No, bad play on the quarterback. But you know what? It's fine. I'm at peace. The Bears had a great season. We had number 2 seed. We had 2 home playoff games. We were fighting to the very end in each of it. We're built for next year. That's all I'll say. I wish we were going further, but I am not heartbroken like years past from this loss. Williams will learn from it, and he'll get better. And that is scary. LA Rams move on 20-17 OT, the final. And in the revolving door of NFL news, let's get you caught up with a little bit of the stories that we have for you. So Eric Bieniemy, the former offensive coordinator for Kansas City, is expected to rejoin the Chiefs as offensive coordinator Matt Nagy, piece of shit, is expected to take the Tennessee Titans head coaching job or be a finalist candidate in that regard, which I don't know why anyone would hire this guy. He's a fucking bum. He was my head coach. He's a bum. Yeah. Falcons. Let's start with the Steelers. The Steelers, and this was brought to me by one of my friends last night, they were looking at Mike McCarthy, and I had confirmation as reports came about. And yeah, he's taken an interview with the Pittsburgh Steelers to see if he can fill their head coaching vacancy. Now, Steelers, this will be your fourth head coach in franchise history. Unheard of. But even for a 62-year-old head coach from from Pittsburgh area, from Pennsylvania, maybe it's a match made in heaven. He's used to the cold weather. He knows how to coach up a team. McCarthy could be on his way to Pittsburgh. Maybe be looking for that in this week's news headlines. Matt LaFleur reaches a multi-year agreement to stay the head coach of the Green Bay Packers. Honestly, I'm fine with it. You know what? He's done well enough for them to obviously garner this attention, to get this extension. You went from Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love. Maybe you get a real receiver next year and you guys can put it together a little bit better. That Micah Parsons on defense is going to help 100%. We've seen that this year. He got injured near the end of the season. So who knows if that could have been the deciding factor. We'll find out next year. All right, head coach hirings. We had two over the weekend. John Harbaugh is going to the New York Giants on a 5-year deal where he will be heading Jackson Dart, Cam Scatabo, Malik Neighbors, and Wan'Dale Robinson, and trying to turn that organization around. Honestly, I like this hire. New York has a highly paid defense that, with the right direction, can be led properly and be a top-tier defense. They showed that at times as they kept themselves in games this year. Offensively, I really wouldn't be too worried. They had a plethora of injuries, and Harbaugh brings a certain stability that I don't think this Giants organization has seen since Tom Coughlin. So, good hire, I think. We'll have to see the results in the field, but if he can get these boys strapped in and booted up, there's no reason they probably couldn't even win the NFC East next year. Moving along, the Falcons have hired head coach Kevin Stefanski, former Browns head coach. Honestly, I love this hire. I think this is a great hire in the fact that he is a former 2-time NFL Coach of the Year. He took the Browns to the playoffs twice with a dismal fucking rosters. He never had any real say in Cleveland. So you get tossed into a room with a plethora of talent, and the Falcons could honestly jump to the head of the NFC South just by this alone. He is an offensive-minded guru. He's had rotating quarterbacks the last few years. Why? Browns management can't get shit right. It was never a head coach issue. It's an organizational issue with the Browns. Kevin Stefanski to the Falcons makes too much sense for it not to have happened. So that's it. That's all. We got some new head coaches. We got the divisional round set up. Seattle hosts the LA Rams in a rematch for the third time this season. We're going to see who comes out on top of that. We got Denver hosting the New England Patriots without Bo Nix. We'll see who comes out on top of that. We got some, but let's just break it down. You could have New England against either LA Rams or against Seattle. Now, that would be sweet revenge for Seattle if they get to face New England, which in some terms would be the tougher of the teams, dependent on how Stidham plays on Sunday. I see the Broncos as a long shot because of this quarterback change, so it's probably most likely going to be the Patriots. Now, I like what Seattle's doing. But you got LA coming back into nice weather, and we know what their offense can do. This isn't a banged-up 49ers team. This is a high-functioning offense right now that defensively you guys are going to have to show up hard this week. And, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be a hard-hitting game in the NFC final. It could honestly go either way, LA or Seattle. So, great football still intact. We're on our way to Sunday championship. Let's see who goes to the Super Bowl. That's it. That's all. This is the BearDown Corner. I'm Sergeant Julio. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can catch the podcast live every Tuesday at 6 o'clock General Mountain, 8 o'clock Eastern, everywhere you can listen to your podcasts and on YouTube. Take care, be safe, and we'll catch you next week here on the BearDown Corner.